lot of expectations with the Vols that I'll get into in just a moment. But the Season 2 debut of the Vol View begins right now.
Football time in Tennessee.
Indeed, it is. The Vol View back for Season 2. Man, it's good to hear those words again. It's football time in Tennessee. So, I'll predict Tennessee's game in just a moment against Chattanooga. So college football's back. Tennessee's back with brand new expectations this season. Again, this is last year was odd because 2022, Tennessee went from being a good bowl team in the SEC to, for a time, number one in the country. Number one team in all of America in the 2022 season. Injuries to Hendon Hooker blew that season up in smoke. They end up winning the Orange Bowl against Clemson in the season 11-2. A season ago, they go on. They win some big SEC games against South Carolina and Kentucky, but they lose to teams they should, like Alabama and Georgia. They lose a tough one to Missouri, and then they lose in the swamp against Florida because they always lose in the swamp against Florida. I don't know. I don't know what to say at this point. And then they end up finishing with a 9-4 record with a bowl win against Iowa. And in that game against Iowa, you saw a kid by the name of Nico Iamaleava. Special player, number one quarterback recruit in the class of, I guess it had been 2022, 2023, I think 2023. True freshman last year, comes this year rather as a redshirt true freshman, and is going to be the guy for Tennessee. So just quickly, I'll get this out of the way. Tennessee's going to beat Chattanooga tomorrow. Like let's not get that twisted. I think it's going to be a blowout beyond blowouts. 56-10. That should not have had the little March Madness logo, but nonetheless, 56-10. Tennessee's going to beat Chattanooga tomorrow. But as far as the season, what's Tennessee going to do? What should the expectations be? Well, I'll lay out my college football playoff predictions in about 10 minutes, but it's a 12-team playoff this season. So, and I'll kind of lay out the format of the 12-team playoff, but sort of a spoiler alert, teams 5 through 11. If you don't win the SEC, which, spoiler, I don't think Tennessee will, teams 5 through 11, that's basically like the wild cards. So after our I'm basically explaining the rules right now. After the 4 conference champions, we'll go the highest ranked to lowest ranked, 1 to 4, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC. From 5 to 11, it's the best teams, the highest ranked teams after that. And then 12 is the highest ranked, or sorry, not the highest ranked. Yeah, the highest ranked conference champion that didn't come from one of the major 4 conferences. So you could have a Tulane, you could have a Liberty, a Boise State, something like that. So Tennessee's, I think their realistic goals are to be in that spot. So predicting the season, I think they're going to beat Chattanooga tomorrow. Next week, though, in North Carolina, they take on NC State. Now, NC State's the 24th ranked team in the country, and that game is going to be at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte with the Panthers play. It's going to be the Duke's Mayo game. And it's going to be essentially a home game for NC State, I think, although Tennessee fans could take over that spot. Tennessee's a 6-point favorite in that spot. NC State's got a really solid football team this year. I think Tennessee gets the W. They come home, they play Kent State at home on a Saturday night. They'll win that one. Here's where it starts to get tough. Brand new team, the SEC, Oklahoma. They go to Oklahoma in Norman, the first time that the head coach of the Vols, Josh Heupel, returns to coach against the team in which he had a lot of success with back in the day. He was a Heisman finalist with the Oklahoma Sooners. That's going to be a tough one. Oklahoma, it says right here, is a 3.5-point favorite. That feels about right. Listen, Oklahoma, I really like their defense coming into this season. Offensively, I still have some questions in terms of consistency, especially when you consider the fact that they have a defensive head coach. I'm going to go Tennessee wins that one by a walk-off field goal in Oklahoma. They start the season 4-0. Go to Arkansas, who I don't buy at all. They win convincingly in Arkansas. 5-0. home against Florida. Here's what I do know. Florida is going to be one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the conference this year. They're bad. They don't have a good coach. I don't like their quarterback. Their roster isn't good by Florida standards, certainly. Here's what I do know, though. They play their best game of the season against Tennessee. I don't know what it is. It's a rivalry game. It used to be like the third Saturday in September game between Tennessee, or fourth Saturday in September, rather, between Tennessee and between Florida. That's not going to be the case this year. They happen to play this season on October 12th. And by the way, October 12th, holy cow. You've seen the schedule for that in college football? Good Lord. You better not schedule any weddings, anybody, okay? Postpone it to the 19th or something. So Tennessee plays Florida. Florida's going to take them to the wire. I see Tennessee right here as a 10.5-point favorite. Take Florida in the points. They're going to play their best game of the year against Tennessee because they always do. But I say Tennessee wins in a close game there. 6-0. They host Alabama. That's a tough one. Kalen DeBoer, I think, is one of the 5 best coaches in college football. I think the fact that when Nick Saban retired, and I'm a big Nick Saban guy. Can't hate Alabama. Love Nick Saban. When Nick Saban retired, it was Rejoice City and Knoxville and really all over college football, particularly the SEC. Well, they replaced it with Kalen DeBoer out of Washington, who, again, I want to reiterate, I think is one of the 5 best coaches in America. That felt not unfair because, who cares about fair? Fair is where you go to get cotton candy. Who cares about fair in sports? They got Kalen DeBoer. They got Jalen Milroe, who I was very skeptical about coming into the season. Still don't love him as an NFL prospect, but played excellent football at the end of the year. That throw he made to Isaiah Bond in the Iron Bowl game against Auburn, stuff of legend. It was a beautiful throw, great play, and Alabama almost came that close to beating the eventual national champion, Michigan Wolverines. I think Alabama will go to Neyland and beat Tennessee. Tennessee will then, after a bye week, come back home, or stay home rather, and play Kentucky. And listen, Kentucky has played Tennessee tight in the past, but I don't think they're particularly well coached, or well coached in terms of the position groups. Their quarterback situation is Tennessee will beat Kentucky, I think, handily. They tend to take care of Kentucky at Neyland Stadium. Home game against Mississippi State, that's a win. Mississippi State is going to be very good this year. They go on the road to play Georgia. Listen, Georgia has owned Tennessee since 2017. I was actually there in Neyland Stadium when they whooped us 41-0. I was there in Neyland last year when they played us, and after Jalen Wright scores a touchdown, first play of the game, you can't hear yourself think. Georgia silenced the crowd in short order over the course of the rest of that football game and won convincingly. Tennessee is not beating Georgia in Athens. Let's get that thought out of our heads. But then they're going to finish with 2 wins against UTEP at home, and then on the road, might as well be at home, against Vanderbilt in Nashville, Tennessee, to finish 10-2. Tennessee will go 10-2. Nico Iamaleava will end up being a Heisman finalist. I'm not saying he's going to win the award. He needs to be a Heisman finalist with guys like Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, and company. I think he's got that special of a season. I think Josh Heupel caught a lot of criticism last year because the fact that, hey, Hendon Hooker was very successful and should have still gotten an invite to New York despite the injury for the Heisman ceremony, was great. Tennessee was number 1. And then Joe Milton comes in, who's more tangibly gifted than Hendon Hooker. I mean, almost freakish arm. He said he can throw a football. He said the other day he can throw a football 95 yards. I believe him. I believe him. I've seen that kid throw in person. It's like nothing you've ever seen. But he doesn't see the field particularly well. He tends to panic in the pocket, unlike Hooker, and I think unlike Nico, who's more mobile than a guy like Joe Milton, sees the field, makes quicker decisions than Joe Milton, and fits the offense as well as Hendon Hooker did, which plays right into Josh Heupel. He likes to go hurry-up offense. He likes to put 3 receivers on the far left or far right side of the sideline, throw a lot of screen passes. Tennessee likes to run the football effectively. They'll do that with Dylan Sampson, who I love, by the way. And Tennessee's offensive line is as strong as there is in the SEC. So Tennessee will go 10-2. Where that will put them in the college football playoff rankings, well, you'll just have to find that out in a few minutes. But Tennessee will go 10-2. The losses will be to Alabama and to Georgia. The toughest win, in my view, will be against, 2 wins. Florida, showed me the case, but Florida always plays them tight. And then on the road in Norman, Oklahoma against the Oklahoma Sooners. Those will be 2 tough games that, to me, in that stretch, Florida, Oklahoma, or I should say, Florida, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee needs to split those games. And again, would it help the resume more if they beat in Alabama, or especially if it were Georgia? If, say, they beat Alabama, but they lose to Florida and Georgia. I still think that helps the resume more than if they beat Florida, Oklahoma, lose to Alabama, Georgia, because it shows, hey, Tennessee's great, but not quite in the level of those teams. We'll see. But that's where I got it. 10-2. The 2 losses are to the Crimson Tide and the Bulldogs, the Georgia Bulldogs, not Mississippi State. Not Mississippi State. They're love Dak. Shout out to Dak Prescott. They're not losing to Mississippi State. So there you go. So that is it for this week's edition of the Vol View. Tennessee is going to beat Chattanooga 56-10. You heard it here first. And Chattanooga in the Southern Conference is in FCS football. Solid football team. They went 8-5 a season ago. They're not coming to Neyland. This isn't going to be an Appy State, Michigan type situation. They're not going to go to Neyland and beat the Vols. That's not going to happen. Tennessee 56, Chattanooga 10. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.